Before the headlines, before the borders, there was a region built on vision. A land where bronze spoke history, where harvest meant unity and tradition shaped identity. Leadership was earned. Order was sacred. Education was a foundation. Through conflict and sacrifice, the Eastern spirit endured. Today, the story continues. New voices, new perspectives. Sing resilient rhythm. Eastern Circle, our roots, our rhythm.
Hello, good to welcome you to another wonderful episode of Eastern Cycle here on Rapid TV, where we get to bring you best and exciting happenings from the Eastern region of Nigeria. As a matter of fact, a lot of things are happening here, ranging from political and all what have you. But today, it's basically going to be something different, and we'll be going through a different terrain. And I tell you, it's really going to be very, very exciting. My name is Bono Esquire, and with me is still the woman on, should I say, ox blood? Or pepper. Is this what they say? Pepper. Is it pepper red or
no?
Onion
This
red?
is not pepper red. This
It's
is
ox
just
blood.
ox blood.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why are you oxing the blood?
Because it's me. I can fly any color I want.
You can fly. You are flying color. Eh?
Yes. I can dress anyhow I want.
And you know you are in an environment where you are not supposed to be flying color.
Don't be like
around
that.
me. You
Don't
don't
like-
fly color.
But
around
it's a
me.
good thing that you're in purple and I'm in ox blood.
Yeah, royalty.
Yes. So we're exploring different colors.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. Yes. So
Tea
it's nice.
so much
Oh,
news.
really? Thank you so much. Well, it's always a beautiful time with you, I Esquire, I must say. We're always having intelligent intelligent conversations right here on Eastern Circle. And we always get to achieve the idea behind Eastern Circle each time we get to see. Well, on this very edition, Esquire, this particular episode, it's going to be very interesting because we're going to be, focusing on women today. I just hope you don't really feel
As a matter of fact, I love women.
okay.
Most times I try to imagine a world without women. It will be so boring. You can just imagine, Adam and Steve walking around. It's really going to be
it's
boring.
not a beautiful balance.
Yeah, no. So it's definitely boring. There's something women brings to our world.
Okay.
There's this sort of vibe. There's this sort of they bring excitement. They bring so much beauties. And normally when you ask me, I'll tell you I'm sweet and delicious.
Okay.
That's one of the things that women bring. They bring sweetness. They make the world. They bring this sort of seasoning. They
Okay.
try to make it delicious too. So you can imagine that. So women are the best. And my mother is a woman. And I also have beautiful
Pisoma.
Pisoma. I also have beautiful women at home too.
Okay.
I have, most times when I just remember some of those, that was last night.
Yeah.
I had a call home and I was appreciating my wife and I was telling her how blessed I am to have her. And I've never regretted
I'm really
ever been there. And for almost like a decade, more like a decade, we've been together and it's been exciting.
Yeah.
And I have daughters and I have, so it's always,
too.
And both even the ones that have gone to heaven.
Yeah.
So they are beautiful. And
That's good.
women, they are wonderful people.
Now, Esquire, across the Southeast, we have lots of brilliant women. Me included.
Yes, indeed. If you were not here to talk about these women, I would have said no. It's one not.
Oh, that's
I've
so
scored.
sad. That's so sad. Well, so these women are women who has actually studied hard, earned a degree, and now are faced with lots of challenges, with lots of doubts, with lots of, societal pressure and whatnot. Most of them, they go to school, graduate with the expectation that once they graduate, the world will be a better place for them to live in. They will get to, have their career set up, move and explore the world. But often you see right here in the South, it's not always like that. At the end of the day, like I said, they are faced with the pressure of having it all figured out. So this is the reason for our episode for today. And today, these women are asking a question: What does exactly success look like after graduation? Now we're going to be exploring this question and more. And indeed, like we said, this edition is one special one. We're going to be having a guest, but now we'll be going on the short break. When we return, we will introduce our guest. Don't touch that down.
Before the headlines, before the borders, there was a region built on vision. A land where bronze spoke history, where harvest meant unity, and tradition shaped identity. Leadership was earned. Order was sacred. Education was a foundation. Through conflict and sacrifice, the Eastern spirit endured. Today, the story continues. New voices, new perspectives. Sing resilient rhythm. Eastern Circle, our roots, our rhythm.
Welcome back from that very short break. Well, as we told you earlier, our focus on this very episode is how women in the Southeast can be able to navigate success with their degree, not just on paper, but in real life. We're talking about, is degree enough? What are the challenges that stand in the way? And what are the moves they are making to make sure that those success they actually succeed with their degree? And to help us explore this conversation, we promised you that we have a special guest in our midst. I mean, this special guest is a respected person in the academic. She's a mentor, she's an administrator, and of course, the most reverend Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research and Development, Michael Opera, University of Agriculture. I'm talking about Pastor Professor Osla Ngozi Akamwa. Please, I'm still like saying a round of applause. Mommy, it's so nice having you on our show today.
You're welcome.
You look absolutely great. You look gorgeous. I love the outfit you're putting on. And this smile is making it look like, or rather giving me the vibe that it's going to be a smooth sailing conversation with you.
Yes, it's going to be. But you look so beautiful too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah,
I just had to allow the ladies to do their things because, when the man comes in, we have a better way of appreciating the ladies. I think we do it better.
Okay, so...
Yeah, because she's beautiful and she's African, well represented, the whole combination and everything. So you could very well tell me that. And there is something about Prof, the natural beauty. And I think I'm just appreciating that. And I know they've taken you through a lot of things today, the pressures, but then it's not showing on you.
Well, pressure or stress is a thing of the heart. If you think that the pressure, if you allow the pressure, because life is about pressure, you can't, if you remove pressure from life, life becomes, it won't be sweet. So what makes you feel thick and great is how much of the pressure you are able to take and be able to withstand it and keep pushing.
Yes, that's
Wow, that's beautiful. And then talking about the women, I think a lot of them don't like pressure, but then I think I'm seeing it from a different aspect now. From you are looking at pressure at what should bring out the best of you.
It's a springboard.
It's a springboard. That's awesome.
oh beautiful. Now let's dive into what we have for today. Now, you are a woman. Let's establish that.
Yes, I am.
Not just any woman, one that is respected, one that a lot of people look up to. And of course, you are a woman from this part of Southeast. You're from Owerri, Imo State, married to an Owerri man. Wow, beautiful. And of course, we've seen the amazing things you've been able to do for yourself as a career woman in the academic section. Now, I would like to find out, because if you heard me clearly, we have a lot of women who are complaining, who are saying they are faced with a lot of challenges. They are unable to make do with a lot of things with their degree as a woman in Southeast. Now, I would like to find out how much does a university degree affect a Southeastern woman in this part of Nigeria?
Okay, it's not just about Southeast.
Okay.
First and foremost, the question is, what does education do to a life?
Okay.
To a life, to anybody, whether a male or a female. The first thing education does is that it redefines you. It helps you to understand, first and foremost, who you are.
Okay.
Secondly, it gives you enlightenment. Thirdly, it teaches you, especially if you allow the education to pass through you, it begins to modify your perception and your outlook to life. So most of the time, what happens is that people get educated, they pass through institutions without allowing the institutions to pass through them. Because education is supposed to teach you a number of values. It's supposed to teach you a number of attributes. It's supposed to teach you a number of habits, like resilience. Education is supposed to teach you resilience, because if you have exams, you're supposed to keep awake to read for the exams. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes.
So most of the time, people go through institutions without allowing the institutions to go through them. Patience is a virtue that can be taught to you in the course of learning. Discipline is a virtue that will be taught to you in the course of education. And so, if actually people get educated, you will discover that they can maneuver through the challenges of life.
Wow.
So the question is, these young women who are educated, did they just go through school without being educated? There are so many people who have certificates, they parade, and they cannot defend such certificates. So it's not just about going through school, it's about school going through you. And you, in those days in the university, we were taught, if you pass through an institution, allow the institution to pass through you. Because there are things you will learn as the institution passes through you, both the curricular and the extracurricular parts of life, and even the social part of life. So these things, come into play in finally forming you and making you who you ought to be.
Now, I get your point, but I will try as much as possible not to be overly emotional about this conversation. We've heard women who said, I studied hard. I paid attention. I allowed school to go through me while I go through school. And of course, they came out with flying colors. They graduated with flying colors. But now they are faced with difficulties of actually translating their degree to an actual success in their career. What do you have to say about that?
See, the first thing you need to know is that there's a difference between brilliance. When you say somebody is educated, you can make a first class. It means you are just brilliant. It means you're just intelligent.
Okay.
But there are other aspects of education Like in education, we say that there are 3 domains of education. You have the cognitive, which has to do with your intellectual attainment. We have the affective, which is your personality. The personality, the person you finally become in the course of education. And the third part of it is the psychomotor, which is the acquisition of the skills that are inherent in the course you have studied.
Wow.
I'll give you an example. There are people who, let me use the mundane, who passed through, let's say they studied business, let's say they studied science, but they did not actually acquire the skills necessary, for life outside school. So if you give them paper and pen, they can scribble and make an A. But that you made an A in a course does not mean you have acquired all that you need in that particular course.
Yeah.
And that's why the Nigerian educational system, we should be shifting our emphasis from the certificate to actual knowledge,
Actual ability.
actual capacity, actual skills you have acquired, and who you have turned out to be. Because being in an office is not just a function of what you know intellectually, it's also a function. If somebody walks into your office, how do you relate with the person? Because if you're talking about translating your certificate to real life success, it has to do with your personality. As when you have a business and somebody comes and you're rude, how will you translate the certificate you have into success? It becomes a challenge because you were not able to translate the emotional intelligence you should have acquired in the course of learning into your business, into what you studied. If you're a medical doctor and you own a clinic and somebody comes in and you're shouting at your patients, you don't have patience, you cannot talk to them kindly, no matter the skills you have, they will rather go to a quack, get an injection who will mix up for them, than come to you who is skilled and who is rude, or somebody who does not even have, it's paining you. Okay, sorry. I'll just do it differently. So you discover that some people go to some places because of the personality. So for one to translate knowledge into real life success is the totality of who you are.
All right. Can we say, looking at everything, because we're talking about translating the success into the knowledge into real-time success, can we say that the challenges of this, it's maybe we have issue with our educational sector? Do we look at it from there? Because we've seen a lot of people go to school and they still find it hard to come out, because I think the major focus has been go and acquire certificate, but then because they've not been really trained, because we don't have this I think they call it participatory education, where the system trains you, grinds you into not just you don't even have an option than to go through the school, and the school goes through you. When you come out in the society, you don't have an option than to allow what you've gone through and what has been put inside of you to materialize. Do we say that our educational system is faulty?
No, I can't say that. When you start saying the educational system is faulty, you're generalizing. Because there are also people who have been part of the system who have made a success of themselves. So you cannot just, generalize and put a blanket statement that it has to do with the educational system. The totality of who a person finally becomes, education is there, the society is there, the church is there, the social milieu is a whole lot of things. So the family is an essential part, because these days we find a lot of families where parents are absentee parents. They are not there to do what they are supposed to do. They are not there to inculcate family. They've not even been able to establish family values that they can say to their children, this is what it is. You don't talk like this. You don't react like this. You do not behave like this. You do not declare a breakdown. You know, you said something that women like it easy. I also know women who work hard.
Yes.
There are women who have made a huge success of their lives. They have worked hard, they still work hard, and they will be working hard. So you just cannot say it's about womanhood. No. It's about how the person was raised. It's about how what the person allowed herself or himself to have acquired in the course of the exposures. Because there are also people who were taught and they refuse to learn. So it's a whole lot of things. Yeah. So it's not about the educational system, because there are people who have passed through the same educational system, and there are even people who nobody taught, and they taught themselves just by the things they were exposed to. They learned. There are children who are in school. Nobody has even exposed them to computers, and they too, they begin to see things. They borrow from their friends. They learn and they excel. You see, this thing has to do with an individual's desire to succeed.
And I know there is this other part, still looking at translating your knowledge into reality. Most of the challenges that people get to face, it's this factor of the Nigerian factor, and they would say jammed me, where someone actually wanted to study a particular course, and then they end up being given a course that they don't even have passion for. And most times when they get into school, they just have to struggle. Let it just be that we've gone through it. And most people, I've come across a lot of people. They've gone through this higher university and all that high institution. They studied a course that they never had any interest in. So to them, it's just let's just go through that. So when they now come out, you realize that they just went through the school, but the school didn't go through them. They just got the certificate, and they find it very hard to translate even the little, if they ever got from what they studied, into real-time success, at least to become something.
No, it's still part of the individual's life. Let's start from, that's why now JAM has a policy that if a child must change to a particular course, to study a course the student originally did not apply for, that candidate has to go and change it himself or herself to be admitted. It's this thing you're saying. A lot of persons will say, I never bargained, I never wanted to study this, and I found myself studying that. Or some people will say, I never wanted to study this. But at any stage of your life, you see, education is not just about what you studied, but about what you want to make out of your life.
Okay.
Are you getting what I'm saying? I can use myself as an example. By the time I left university, I had by the time I entered university, I was very young, so I had a different perception of life. But in the course of time, I've come to understand that I can do better in this area, I can do better in this area, and I had taken my time, even with marriage, even with rearing children, to study some other things in order to make sure that I acquire the kind of knowledge I would want to acquire. So you just have to know that there is no limitation in education. The moment you stop learning, you have declared a breakdown, you are ready to die, because education is a continuous process. And there's no age limitation to what you should study, when you should study it, how you should study it. The options are too many, they are open. So if people really have the mind to succeed, if you look at there is no course that does not have anything that can be gained out of it. There is none under the sun. None. So whatever you studied, if you sit down and ask yourself, what are the opportunities? Every course has its opportunities. Sure. If you do a SWOT analysis, or the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and the threats, you will find out the ones where you can find opportunities in your course of study and be able to maximize it. There are people who are saying, I studied agriculture. There are also people who are making a lot of money from agriculture. Some people will say, I studied education. There are schools who are looking for qualified and competent teachers who have not found them. If you find them, they determine how much you pay them. And because you want the system to run, you you hire them. Whatever course it is that you have studied, if you are good in what you do and you have acquired the relevant skills, you can translate knowledge into real life success.
Now, let's look at women. Maybe, I don't know, let's look at from the ratio of between 0 to 10. How much of this, what's your rating when it comes to women embracing this education, when it comes to university degree or polytechnics, high institution?
Okay, if you get into universities, you find many women these days. A lot of women, I cannot tell you exactly what the percentage is or what the ratio is, but I do know that many families educate their daughters. And the simple reason, especially in the Southeast, if you are talking about people who are not even educated in the Southeast, you should be talking about the men who get into.
I love what you just said, Mommy.
Who get into business,
yes,
who want to make money, you know, and all that. But now the trajectory is changing because a lot of men now also go to school, come out of the university, do youth service, and still venture into business. Because that's our forte in the Southeast.
Yes.
We like making money. We are busy. Yes, exactly. So that's what the men do. But most of the females get into education, go to the universities. Their fathers want them to study the medicine, study law, study accounting, do business administration, you know, do education, name it. If you enter into schools, if there are 10 persons in the school, look at the teachers. 99.9% of them are female.
Because they believe that the women are more in number.
And not just that they are more in number, but parents are getting to understand that adage more appropriately, that if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Because the truth is that when we are talking about development and changing our perception of life, the women play a very significant role.
Yes.
Because children spend more time with their mothers than they spend with their fathers. So if a woman's mind is renewed, the person's intellect is sharpened, the person's perception and ideas and views are smart, automatically it will rub off on the children. So if that is the case, then we should be more intentional in training our child. Because we know that when we do that, we will now be, raising a better generation next. But I also believe that no one single person or no one single parent can raise a child.
That's true.
Because if God said man and woman, let me now bring the pastoral part. They said the man has a role to play as the father of the home. The mother has a role to play. So there are things men will teach their children. There are things women will teach their children. So if the two agree and begin to do what they are supposed to do as parents, we will have a better society.
That's true.
Yes.
Now, you made a very good point, but I want us to now explore further challenges that these women in this part of Nigeria are facing trying to build a career for themselves after graduation. I know we've thoroughly, dabbled into a couple of challenges, but I want us to, on a larger scale, talk about it, because when you get to find out the problem, the challenges of the cause of a thing, then we can be able to refer good solutions to it. So what do you think are the challenges these women are facing?
First and foremost, it has to do with the person's personality.
Okay.
Because sometimes, while teaching final year students, once I get into a final year class, I start asking the females, over the years, I just ask them, what's your vision? What will you be doing in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years? I've been asking them this particular question over the years. And the response I usually receive, except a very few. Majority of them will say, once I graduate, once I graduate, once I leave the university, I will settle down. And when you ask, well, settling down how? I want to get married, begin to build a home. The time is not waiting for the woman and all that. So their perception of life is get married and settle down and stop there. But they do not know that marriage does not stop anybody. So marriage should not stop anybody. Because I went through it. By the time I got married to my husband, I just had a first degree. So under him, I did a postgraduate diploma, 2 postgraduate diplomas, 2 master's degrees, and 2 PhDs under him. While still having children, while still raising them, while still doing my domestic chores, by his profession, he was not very much around and all that. But, it's a question of being resilient. It's a question of having dreams, having ambitions, and ensuring that you drive them. So the very first thing we need to do is to begin to mentor our younger generation, the females, and even the males alike. We need to mentor them. We need to begin to tell them, you can do it. You can push it. No matter what, you can push it, So if I'm pregnant, is pregnancy a sickness? It's not. Some people think, if I am pregnant, I have become sick. You're not sick anything. So if you have a mindset that pregnancy is sickness, so when you're pregnant, you go and sit down and you're looking for who will come and look at your face. But if you think that pregnancy is a normal physiological change,
yes,
you move in that strength. See, while all through the time I was having my children, in short, my 3rd child, I finished my master's degree, the first master's degree in April, and I had him on the 4th of May. So you would have imagined how pregnant I was.
Wow.
So if this young child, this young girl knows that I am unstoppable, it's only me I'm the only one who can stop myself. And my ability to stop myself is in my perception, is my ideas about life. So as we teach them, we begin to tell them, you can do it. Family, life, finance, and all that, you can navigate it. You can order your priorities. The truth of the matter is that when it comes to financing, people do not order their priorities. And that's why I like something my papa would say. He said, you use the money you do not have to buy what you do not need to impress those that do not like you. So what you're spending money on, maybe instead of saving a little more money to pay for your fees, there's time. You get to a point where you would have actualized your dreams. So if you want to be a bird, you can become a bird and fly away,
Is it possible to say that that most of them, the reason they end up like that is because they lack vision? Because I think personally, I've also had conversations with people, and I even asked them, what do you intend to do with yourself? This course, why did you study this course? What's your plan? And then, I think they still try to pan towards the same thing, get married, and then whatever that life brings, I will just take it up from there. Can we say it's also part of the reason most of them are not turning out?
That's about not having dreams. That's about not having a vision. That's about not having a drive. Some of them even have dreams and visions, but they don't have the drive to, pull through it.
Now, I want to say something. A couple of women, they hide under the canopy of discrimination. The reason why they are not attaining a certain success is because they're being discriminated for their gender. They said you're the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research and Development. Why? You're also a woman. And they believe that the position you are in right now can only be obtained by men, it should be only legal for men actually.
No.
But now we're seeing someone like you who's been able to do so much for herself. So what do you have to say? Is it true that the women are being discriminated in regards to
first of all is a self-defeat.
okay.
A self-defeat, you tell yourself, because I'm a woman, I must be subservient. That's a self-defeat first. But the truth is, like in this university now,
Yes.
The Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic is a woman.
Wow.
The Deputy Vice Chancellor Research and Development is a woman. The Registrar is a woman.
Amazing. Please,
So
for us.
which means that we didn't agree to come together or do, we are all working in our various areas of endeavor and pushing as individuals. So it's the same thing. Every woman should tell herself, or every girl child should tell herself, I can do it. I can do it. Get into any field of endeavor. Now, if you get to the legal profession, you have women who have distinguished themselves in the legal profession. If you talk about the medical profession, there are women who are becoming consultants at a young age. There are people who have distinguished themselves in academia. I know some professors here who became professors before they turned 50. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there is no hard and fast rule about these things. It still has to do with the person believing. If we just keep the positions for the men and keep it for the women, even if we say every position should be for women, there are still women who will not make efforts and the men will still take it. So this thing has nothing to do with gender. It's about the person that is involved.
Okay, now let's look at this. You are in the academia, and you are also a minister. And how do you try to push it? And you're also a mother. Now looking
and a wife,
and
a grandmother.
How do you try to navigate it all and create a balance and still remain productive in what you do?
The Bible talks about redeeming the time. Redeeming the time. Redeeming the time simply means buying back the time.
Yes.
Redeeming the time means being time conscious, effective time management, and allotting the correct time and ordering your priorities. So for every point in time, my priorities are ordered. I know that today, what am I doing today? Is it about my family? Is it about the church? Is it about my work? So for each point in time, I am allocating time. And that is why I am always on the move. I'm not, I'm not looking for who to tag along with me. So even if you are my friend, and I discover that as I am moving, you are not ready to move, I leave you and move on. Yes, because I believe so strongly that effective time management is quite necessary for everything anybody has to be in life. In those days, during our secondary school days, or even primary school days, they used to, teach us early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy and wealthy and wise. So, if you can manage your time effectively, you will discover that you have time, allocated for different activities. The time in economics, they taught us scale of preference.
Yes.
They also taught us opportunity cost, some foregone alternatives. So each day, what are the alternatives I must forget today? And what are my scales of preference in the order? What, family, God, and all that. So my day is ordered, and I just, so if I'm going to have slight alterations, I'll just have slight alterations. But above all, I have ordered my day, God helping me. So I just keep moving according to the order. Instead of not having another life, you don't have time for family, you don't have time for church, you don't have time for your career. There are people who enter their offices and they just sit down and gist and they tell all stories. And then when time, and it's supposed to be a time for you to go home, you now start doing the work you should have done in the morning. There are also people who do not come to work early. So if you come in early, you are able to do what you're supposed to do before the day becomes busy. You would have cleared your table. And if you try and clear your table before you leave each day, you will discover that you have less to carry home Because if you carry work home, you'll also not give attention to your spouse, and all that. So you just have to make sure that you try and have a work-family life balance in order to...
As you were talking, because you're a minister, I remember in the Bible talks about that knowledge puffs. It's and also wisdom makes the face of a man to shine. Now, is it possible? It was also my pastor. We're talking. He said when he was making sure that the wife, had to go through school, masters, even go to London, to further her education. Some of his friends were like, "Why are you pushing your wife to go do this thing?" By the time she comes up, in Igbo parlance, it's anye mepea. She will challenge you and all that. And to be very, very sincere, we've seen such happen. Yeah, we've seen such happen. Can we also alert the fact that most men who have refused, and even most fathers who have refused to allow their girl child, to allow their wives to go further to do this thing, maybe they fear it's because of being challenged, because they believe that this knowledge that will prove them off, they would want to challenge the men. Can we say that's part of the fear that most people have, and because of that they don't allow their wives or their daughters to really have that access to higher education?
Haven't you seen people who are illiterate who are challenging their husbands? I think
that one is worse.
Good questions.
Haven't you seen them? You see, this has to do with somebody's personality.
Yes.
You see, if you say you know God,
yes,
you will know what the Word of God says. It says, submit to your own husband in all things. So, whosoever you are in the office, yes, I am GVC R&D. Yeah, I know Mudike. But when I get home to my house,
you're a wife.
I'm a wife. And I am a mother. When I get to church, or wherever I am, I'm a pastor. I'm answerable to my lead pastor, to my resident pastor. You understand what I mean? So these are where you have, that's why I said knowledge. The Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. If you do not have knowledge, most of the time, it's half knowledge, half education that is even worse. When people are half educated, half baked, little knowledge, anyone they get, they start running with it because they do not have a full picture of what it ought to be. But if you have a full picture, a clear understanding of who you are self as an individual, when you have that understanding, you are not competing with anybody. You're competing with yourself. So your spouse, your husband or your wife is not a competitor.
Yes.
If you want to look for who to compete, go and compete with yourself. Go and compete according to what God has written in the volumes of his book concerning you. So it's you and you and you and God. So when you have this understanding, you know that you're not competing, not even with any other person outside, but with yourself. Because you just have to be who God wants you to be. So every day you're asking God, am I really who you want me to be? Am I meeting up? So your desire, your passion is to become, is to grow, is to become more of who God wants you to be, and not to run around like chicken, comparing your... The Bible says they that compare themselves with themselves are not wise. So these women who go around and they talk about, oh, my husband, what did my husband do? They lack understanding. There are people who, but if you have proper understanding, you will know your position. Yes. You will know your place, and you will remain in your place. You cannot be a wife and a husband at the same time. And if God has made you a wife, be a wife. It means that God knows that you're better a wife than being a husband.
That's true.
So remain in your office. Remain in your place and be productive. Yes.
I'm telling you, we have reactions.
Yes, of course we do. Right now, Bobby just wore the hat of a pastor. I mean, there's so many things that we must commend you for that. Well, we'll be going on this very short break, and when we return, we'll look at the online reactions we have concerning this topic.
Before the headlines, before the borders, there was a region built on vision. A land where bronze spoke history, where harvest meant unity, and tradition shaped identity. Leadership was earned. Order was sacred. Education was a foundation. Through conflict and sacrifice, the Eastern spirit endured. Today, the story continues. New voices, new perspectives, same resilient rhythm. Eastern Circle, our roots, our rhythm.
Welcome back from that very short break. I am so sure you are so enjoying this episode. I mean, we have Prof herself and my co-host having a beautiful conversation about the women right here in the Southeast. Now we have some online comments that has really drawn our attention. I would like our guest to react to it. Tell us what she thinks about what people are saying concerning the women in the Southeast. Now we have this one from Chamaka. She said, let's be honest. In the Southeast, a woman's degree loses value the moment marriage enters the conversation.
It's not true.
Okay.
How can your degree lose value the moment marriage enters the conversation? I use myself as an example.
Yes.
I got a first degree and got married. And all the other degrees I had them only married. So and not for one day did my husband try to stop me. And for each time I say, I want to do this, he'll tell me, you have my backing. Just keep pushing. Sometimes in the dead of the night, I am sitting up reading. He comes and makes a joke. He says, precious, just go on and try. I just wish I can read a part of this thing for you. Just know that I've got your back. And all he did for me was to give me every encouragement I needed. At a point, he got a driver for me because I used to, when I look at the time and I'm not meeting up with time, I will start flying, in the name of driving. Yes. So at a point, he got me a driver. Said, whether you're going to Futo, whether you're going to APSU, let somebody drive you so that, sometimes I can be driving and be marking scripts, trying to meet up with several engagements and all that, So marriage in no way should stop anybody. Any man that wants to stop you because you're married to him is not your husband.
That's true.
Because the first thing a man needs to know is that he that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So the favor you have obtained should not work against you. So if you're a man and you start feeling inferior that you are married, then you're not man enough. You don't know who you are. Because your wife is supposed to compliment you. God says it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make. So God makes one that is meet for you, that is suitable, that is appropriate for you. And then that person now becomes your problem. It means that you do not know that person is a help. Because the person is a help. So if you identify that the person is a help and identify the dimension of help God has given to you, you maximize it.
That's true.
You maximize it. If you ask me now, why are you in your husband's life? I can tell you because I know. And so whenever such things come up, I stand to, to give him help in those areas because that's why I know that's why I am in his life.
Wow.
Indeed, a typical Igbo man would always support his wife to do well.
Yes.
To do well.
There you have it, Chamaka. That's your answer. I mean, if you don't have any proof, here is a proof that you can actually succeed and also be a marriage. Now we have the next one from Uche. He said, most universities prepare us to pass exams, not to survive real life or build careers.
They prepare you to pass exams and not to survive real life. Says who?
Uche.
It's not true. It's not true. The reality is that people go to school and they don't want to subject themselves to real learning. A lot of, let's say for example, there are people who, if as a lecturer, I can tell you without fear or favor that you come into a class and you are supposed to teach 1,000 students, for example, and you will be seeing 200, you'll be seeing 300 throughout the course of the lectures, of the study. But on the examination day, you will see 1,000 coming to write the exam.
Wow.
Where were the other 700 in the course of learning? It comes to the practical classes,
Yeah.
you know, especially for courses that have practicals. You will not see them, you will not find them.
Yeah.
So if you are not there, you can only say you didn't prepare, because every learning you pay attention to. Every student, that's why as a lecturer, my students who attend, I take attendance. You know why I take attendance during my lectures? It's because I believe that a student who was in the lecture can never ever be the same as somebody who didn't attend the lectures.
Wow.
Because there are real life examples, there are things you say during the lectures that are not in any textbook, that are not in any life. They are experiences, they are information you have sorted into, you have acquired over the years, you want to share with them. So if they are not in the class, they are not able to learn all that they are supposed to learn. So if they are talking about education, teaching them to pass, it is because they buy the textbooks and they imagine what it is. I think it is for me to buy the textbook and somebody writes my name. If I have written my name in somebody's book, then it means that I have scored for continuous assessment. That's arrant nonsense. Because if you are in class and you sit down and listen to your lecturer, you will learn so much. You will gain from the experiences the person has passed through. There are things you have learned, you have gleaned over the years that are not in any textbook. They are not written anywhere. So even if you are reading that book, all you are going to do is what we call rote learning. You memorize it, you come and vomit it. The person gives you a score. Then you have passed the exam, but you didn't acquire every other thing. Like sometimes in my class, I crack some jokes. I throw out some things that are not part of the lecture,
Yes.
that will help educate, that will help inform, that will help build, that will help mentor, you know, the younger generation. So if you're not there, how will you learn those things? So you only learn book and cram it and pass. You pass exams, but you may not have learned. Education didn't just pass through you. The system didn't pass through you. You just passed through the system.
Okay, I think we'll just leave it at those two questions. And there are lots of young people from the southeastern Nigeria and all over who might be facing a lot of these challenges as it has to do with how to translate their knowledge into reality. They are like, okay, I've already seen a woman doing well. Okay, she has taught us how. So what do you have for them? What message do you have for them in order to encourage them to do better?
The message I have for them is for them, first and foremost, believe in yourself. Believe you can do it. Believe that the sky is a stepping stone, that the birds, you know, the sky is too wide for two birds to jump.
That's true.
So you cannot be looking at one person and you're imagining that because this person is doing well, I cannot do well. That's what breeds envy, you know. But if you believe in yourself and you work hard, and if you are going through school, allow yourself to be properly trained. Do not just pass exam. Do you know you can pass exam without having knowledge in a particular subject matter?
That's true.
It's possible that the two places you read, that those were the areas the questions came from. So you will pass without actually. I want to end with telling a very beautiful story.
Okay.
I went to the library one day to read when I was doing my second PhD. I had an exam and I entered the library. You know, I saw a young man who had all one in all the WAEC subjects. A science, good, very smart young man. So I saw him in the library and I asked him, I said, what are you doing here? He said to me, Auntie, I came to, there are some concepts in mechanics that I didn't understand well. In physics, I didn't understand well. Even though I made an A1 in physics, I want to go back and read those things so as to understand them more perfectly, because I want to be an electronic, I want to be a computer engineer. I want to be a software engineer. And I need these things to be able to, understand the lecturers as they teach me. For some people, they will say, after all, I made an A1. I am a superstar. I know it all.
Yeah.
But he went back instead of idling away his time. So these are the things that people should do. Make sure you learn whatever you're being taught. Learn it properly. Acquire the skills and the knowledge and the abilities that are inherent in those areas. And then by the time you do it, if you settle down and you also pray, add God to it, it's possible for you to begin to translate your certificates, your degrees to real life success.
Wow.
Thank you.
Oh, Prof. Ma, we are so loaded. In as
Thank
much
you.
we came here to have a conversation, but
Thank you.
at the end of the day, we've been able to learn a thing or two from you. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
granting us this opportunity to learn from you, to draw from your bottle
Thank
of
you.
wisdom.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a good time right here on Eastern Circle. I'm in with my partner, Esquire, and right about now we'll be drawing a curtain. I know it's so sad. I feel for you too, but we have to call it an end for this particular episode. Thank you so much for sticking with us. And here we always say our byes. Make sure you tune in and keep tuning in. Have a great day.
Eastern Circle. Our roots, our rhythm.